Hey folks, I've been practicing. Got my Rocky Mountain hunting call gig set up here. This is the Mellow Yellow. It's like the best cow call I've ever found. I've been driving around town the last couple weeks, practicing and getting back and in tune. Got my dependable bully bugle. So I hope that you're all doing well. I just wrote on here in the comments that I'm worried we're going to lose power. We have a lightning storm going on here. Bozeman isn't known for serious lightning, like Midwest, Southeast type lightning. But out at my house, the power is flickering. So if everything crashes and burns, we apologize. Because this is episode number 99. Whew! Episode number 99 of Elk Talk Live, brought to you by GOHUNT.com and Leupold and Bowtech and Gerber and Rocky Mountain hunting calls and Ken Trek. Oh, I forgot to wave the Gerber thing around. And Mr. Wrench backpacks, black gold sights, tight spot quivers, and ripcord arrow rust. So most of that stuff, you can go to the gear shop at GOHUNT.com, buy it there, use promo code Randy when you check out, and you're going to save 10%. So there you go. I typed an announcement in the screen that says Rocky Mountain hunting calls right now, they're so busy. The month of August, they're not filling orders off their website. So the normal promo code Randy that saves you 15%, they're telling people, go to your dealer, go to GOHUNT.com, go to wherever that they sell Rocky Mountain hunting calls and buy it there. I guess it's nice to be that busy so that everything is busy, busy, busy. Let's see. Are we doing any special giveaways for episode 100? You know, we talked about that last week when Kyler was here. I don't know. You got any ideas on that, Jonathan? We'll figure something out. Episode 100 next Wednesday, we'll have something going for you. And I think it's cool that next Wednesday is also the opening day of archery elk season in Colorado. Yeah, all you people who have your archery elk tags in Colorado, next Wednesday when it gets going for real. This Sunday, August 30th, Idaho starts going for real. Montana, let's see, what is that date? I think we start on the 5th. And I can't remember what some of the other states are, their start dates. Well, September 1st, which is next Tuesday, I know that starts archery in Wyoming, and it starts archery in New Mexico. Arizona, I can't remember when your archery season starts. I think Utah is already going. I know in a lot of units in Nevada, it's already going. Randy, what methods or techniques did you use to teach Corey Jacobson to call elk? Now that is funny. That is really funny because I got to be the worst. When Corey and I get together, I don't even want to say I'm amateur and he's pro. I'm somewhere below amateur, and I mean on a relative scale. So, man, don't let him read that. Let's see. We got a whole bunch of questions again in advance, and so I'm going to grab a couple of those while all of you get your questions going. Anyone got any trail cameras set out? Okay, so here's what happened to us. Stealth Cam sends us 12 trail cameras because what we're going to do, Jonathan, me, Jonathan, Marcus, Michael, Dale, and Paul, we're each taking 2 cameras. One person's going to, each person gets 2. So you got to do one in what we're calling in your backyard, within a mile or so of your house, and then one in the backcountry, where we're going to try to get footage of grizzly bears, mountain goats, bighorn sheep, stuff that you normally don't see on a trail camera. So if any of you have ideas of how we could make that more exciting and more entertaining, every week we're going to post, all right, here's what's been on Jonathan's trail camera in the last 5 weeks. Then the next week, here's Randy's the last 5 weeks. So we're going to try to show you how that works. I've never, this is the first time I've owned trail cameras, so I'm open to any ideas that all of you have. I know that Some of you use trail cameras when you're out hunting. We don't. Some states, like I think now Nevada, you can't use trail cameras after August 1st. So we're interested in whatever all of you think will be helpful for what we do. So we have, where'd that document go that has all these questions? What are my thoughts on electronic calls for bugles? My thought is I don't use them. I use this and I use this. And you want to be careful because in a lot of states, electronic elk calls are illegal. So check your rules before you go and do that. All right, we get this all the time. I should just keep a pack here just for our Elk Talk live sessions. Randy, what kind of hunting pack do you recommend I get? I have a lot of gear. Well, I have a lot of gear also, and I got to bring a lot of stuff in that pack. So my day pack, when I'm out elk hunting, looks almost like a full pack because in there I've got spare clothes, spotting scope, tripod, game bags, kill kit with all this kind of stuff, food, extra water, survival kit, you name it. So I use a Mystery Ranch Metcalf, and I've been using the Metcalf since it came out. I'm thinking 8 or 9 years ago. I've been using Mystery Ranch pack since 2006. And if you want to save 10%, go to GOHUNT.com and use promo code Randy when you check out. They'll take 10% off your price. Do I ever have problems while hunting elk in the snow or with snow while I'm out hunting elk? Nope. If you said, I get to design or pick the weather for my perfect elk hunting day, it's going to be about November 20th. It's going to be 10 degrees and there's going to be 4 inches of fresh snow on top of the other 15 inches of snow. That's going to be my perfect. When I get those conditions, I don't sleep at night. I'm laying there like, oh man, tomorrow is going to be the day. So I've never had problems while elk hunting in snow. And here's the values I find of it. One, you can tell how fresh tracks are. You look, it's like, ooh, that was really fresh. Or if it snowed in a little bit, it's like, oh, that's from before this 4 inches of snow fell. Also, one of the things I can do is I can sit on a rock and I can look at a hillside 1,000 yards over there and I can see what the tracks are doing, and it tells me a lot. If it's a big group of, say, 20 sets of tracks going across a hillside and they're just lined out, I know those are cows and calves. They're heading out. They're going to the winter range. Not interested. Okay, it's only 3 sets of tracks, but it's lined out. Okay, that's probably a group of bachelor bulls, and they are heading to a new sanctuary. They're probably not in this basin that I'm looking at. Now, sometimes you glass over there and it's 3 or 4 sets of tracks that are meandering in and out of the timber, moving around, not headed anywhere specifically. I'm plopped down. I am sitting there all day because I know those are, that's a group of, probably a bachelor group of bull elk. And because they're meandering and picking and plucking, I know they're in a feed pattern and they're using the food somewhere near their sanctuary. And within this scope of view that I have here, that sanctuary is somewhere in front of me. Now I just got to be patient and look and look and look and look and wait until they come out. I just love hunting in snow. So when elk hunting, do you like to glass with binos or a spotting scope? Not even a question, binos first. If you're looking at, all right, what optics should I buy? Buy high quality binos. Once you got those, then buy the spotter. Because I'm covering way more territory with my binoculars. And then when I see something that I need to inspect, that's when the spotter comes out. Okay, mid-September, elk hunt. Is it worth glassing opening areas in the morning and evening, or should I just focus on covering ground? It's mid-September. The elk are moving across the landscape. They're making a lot of noise. I am covering ground. Call, listen, cover ground. Call, listen, move. Call, listen, move, till you run into one of those bulls that wants to bugle, fight, whatever he wants to do. In mid-September, it is not a glassing game. You get to post-rut and late season, that's a glassing game. In September, be covering ground. So you think about where the elk are right now. Right now, it is August 26th. There's already some bugling going on. I can assure you, if you were out following a herd of elk right now, you've heard a couple bugles. Well, the bulls, they shed their velvet 10 days, 2 weeks ago. They're now splitting up. They're no longer in bachelor groups. Just a week ago when we did this, they were maybe in bachelor groups, but starting to disperse. Now they are dispersed. And they are going back to those places where they're going to set up, and there's this ridge line that has this line of trees, and they are just rubbing the heck out of it. This is their staging area where they're going to, it's near the cows. It's not with the cows, but it's nearby. And they're getting ready for the fun time. So we're in that transition right now where it's going from early season to pre-rut. And then we're going to have about a week to 10 days of real kind of pre-rut, where it's not like it just is, okay, all of a sudden it's pre-rut and then all of a sudden it's peak rut. That happens depending on, all right, some of the cows are coming into estrus earlier or whatever. And over this quick period of time, they go from a summer pattern, early season, to peak rut. So that 8 to 10 days of the pre-rut period is the biggest change in their behavior of the entire season. Take advantage of it. Be out there, be calling, be moving, check out what's going on, and be aggressive. Don't be timid. And you know, cow calls, they're kind of checking out where the cows are. You're going to get a lot of responses from cow calls. You might get them coming in silent. They might come in just ripping and tearing. Whatever it is, just be out there this time of year. I'm going to be in Idaho. I am really, really excited that we're going to Idaho, archery elk hunting in the early season. Well, not early season, pre-rut. Let's see. Randy, I'm hunting Colorado for the first time this year. Do bulls hang out more in the timber north facing, or do you see them more in open fields usually? Again, this is one of those questions where it depends. Usually it's going to be north or northeast or northwest faces, but we need to know, are we talking archery season, muzzleloader season, first rifle, second rifle, third rifle, fourth season? So, I bring that up because that's the very first thing you got to be thinking about is, when am I hunting? What is the season, the tag or season date I'm going to be there? Because that, until you decide that, all of the questions that could be asked are, it depends. So that's the very first thing when you're doing your pre-scouting, your e-scouting. Like, you know, last week we're talking about how we're using the new 3D mapping system with the layers for our desktop that GOHUNT has. We're using that as our e-scouting tool. Well, until we define what season it is we have our tag for, all of those other tools we have really don't get us much. It doesn't help us, because we can look at it and say, well, August 26th, here's where the elk are. But if our tag is November 4th, they're going to be in completely different locations. So, someone says, Randy, I don't think the promo code works out at GOHUNT for Sitka gear. You are correct. Sitka gear was like, hey, wait a second, that's a way around our map pricing, which all retailers are required to adhere to map pricing. So if you go out to GOHUNT.com and use promo code Randy, it'll work on everything other than Sitka gear. So it worked until last week on Sitka gear. Randy, the company you use for your texting service has failed twice to let me know that you are live. Sorry about that. I will contact them and say, what's going on, man? But if you want to get notified via text, it's text Randy to 64600. Let's see. Any update on our buddy Bo Beatty? Is his fight strong? Oh yeah, his fight is strong. I talked to him yesterday, and he's undergoing some experimental chemo. They're trying not to call it chemo because it's experimental. I'm calling it experimental chemo. Yesterday was the first day where he said he really felt like he was feeling better. So let's keep our fingers crossed for him. Randy, have you ever hunted Unit 15 in New Mexico for elk? Any pointers? No, I've hunted most of the units that surround 15, 13, 16E, 16A, but I've not hunted 15. So, Randy, how do you handle an area that does not have any glassing opportunities? There's one of two ways. Go and hunt it in archery season when it's not a glassing game, or go somewhere else if you're hunting late season or post-rut. You're really pushing yourself into a corner if you feel that you're stuck having to glass a late season hunt in a place that is nothing but thick timber. So, have I ever hunted Unit 85 in Colorado? No, I haven't. Again, a lot of you are asking questions that aren't elk related. We love hunting everything, but this is Elk Talk Live, so we're picking the questions that relate to elk, wapiti. A couple questions about meat care tips. Dave, you see Dave on here? He's the man. He's got our frequently asked questions list, and thanks again for being here, Dave. But we out on our YouTube channel, we've got a bunch of videos on meat care during hot times in the backcountry. So let's see. Will I be hunting my home state this year? Yes, I will be hunting my home state. When it comes to meat care, I'm just going to back up because I'm going to address this. It is hot right now. It'll be hot for the next month. First of all, get the heat off it, or get the heat out of it. So get the hide off, get the meat broken down into the quarters, go out to our YouTube channel, look at the gutless method video that we do, and get those large masses hanging with the wind hitting them. Get a really good game bag. Everyone asks me, I use Caribou game bags. Again, you can go to caribougear.com, go there, use promo code Randy, and they'll give you a discount. But I've been using them forever, and the reason is they're synthetic, so they're super tough, they're reusable, and heat and moisture go this way. It doesn't trap it at all. So then when you're selecting a camp spot, figure out, all right, if one of us shoot a bull the first day, where can we hang it so that we don't have to get out of here right away, that we can stay and hunt for a few more days? Find some place that has shade, and find some place where the wind can get to it. You'd be amazed at how much the temperature difference is if you have a little low depression. Just behind your camp, you got a little creek coming through, and it's got trees. One, it's lower, so the colder air, which is denser, is going to stay in that depression where that creek is longer. It's got water flowing through there, so you're going to have evaporation, which again creates a temperature reduction or heat loss, even better. And then you're going to have shade, and the shade is going to keep the direct sun off it. You'd be quite surprised how long you can keep meat hanging in the backcountry, even in pretty warm temperatures, and it's not going to spoil. So let's see. Am I going to be using my new llama this year? Yep, Mac's coming with me on every hunt that I'm doing this year. What was that? No, that's another question. Sorry. Randy, would you shoot an elk that is bedded? Darn right I would. They wouldn't let me do that back when I was on TV. In the production guidelines, you can't shoot a bedded elk. I still don't understand that. It makes no sense to me, especially with archery gear. You talk about the hardest thing to do, spot and stock with a camera guy to a bedded animal. Don't tell me that's unethical. But, oh well. Some people say that, so whatever. But yeah, to answer, I'd shoot an elk in his bed all day, every day. I'm going to wait until I have the good shot. I mean, if he's bedded and he's kind of tucked in like this and he's got his vitals all covered, I'm going to wait for him to stand just for the quality of the shot and the lethality of the shot. Let's see. Hey, Randy, the general units in Montana, mid-September to the end of October, is there a lot of people in the woods elk hunting? And what about clothing to bring at that time? Bring something for everything. It could be super hot. It could be cold. It could be snowing. It could be raining. Be prepared for everything. And yeah, there will be people in the woods. I'm wondering what all of you think is going to happen this hunting season. This whole COVID deal where everybody has more time on their hands, I go out to the public lands here in Montana. It is crazy. The wilderness trailheads, there are people parked everywhere. There are people fishing everywhere, floating everywhere. I'm like thinking to myself, you know what? There are going to be a lot of people in the woods in hunting season also. I think people just have more time on their hands. So I think it's going to be pretty busy. Someone is asking Dave, I'll tell you my opinions. What are your opinions on a 7mm 08 for elk? I think it's more than adequate for elk. In fact, this is the ammo I'm going to be shooting, Nosler E-tips. I just got my new 7mm 08 Randy Newberg Signature Series rifle from Howa. Last year when they first came out with them, they only had the 300 Win Mag, the 308, and the 6.5. Well, now you can get them in a 7mm and a 7mm 08. So I'm using 140 grain Nosler E-tips, which is a solid copper bullet. You hit an elk with that at any reasonable distance, make a good shot with it, done. So there's a really good chance, some of you have heard me say it, that I'm going to do the one season, one rifle. If I get this 7mm 08 dialed in with my VX5 HD, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that for anything and everything. So here's one that this has been asked on Instagram, on Facebook, here today. Does the smoke that we are experiencing from all these fires, does that affect an elk's sense of smell when there's an active fire in the surrounding mountains? I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but an elk's sense of smell is some degree finer than ours to, I think it's like 50x or 100x. When they inhale, they're sorting everything out. Maybe it makes a little bit of difference, but I would not rely on the fact that it's smoky, that somehow I can cut corners in my discipline about keeping an elk from getting into my scent cone. And if you've ever seen how scent disperses, it's not like it just stays in one line going downwind. It starts dispersing in a cone. You got to make sure that elk does not get in your scent cone. I don't care if it's smoky, if it's snowing, if it's raining. They have an unbelievable nose. Absolutely unbelievable. So, all right. Randy, what distance do you sight in your elk rifle? I put my zero at 100 yards, and I have Leupold's dials. They're called CDS, Custom Dial System. And once I set that zero, I'm here at 5,000 feet in Montana. So I have the dial etched for 5,000 feet. I give them my ballistic coefficient, my muzzle velocity. There's one atmospheric temperature. And I know that the elevation and the atmospheric temperature can change. Well, I also give them the sectional density of my bullet. So they etch your dial based on all that. Well, okay, I go to 7,000 feet, guess what? The difference between what my dial does at 5,000 and 7,000 is my breathing is going to create more of a difference than what that is. So I always zero at 100. I hear people say, no, I zero at 200 or whatever. Fine, whatever works for you. Let's see. What was that one? Randy, what has been your experience with elk that would normally not have any vehicular traffic reacting to the traffic of hunting season? Whew. See you later. that as a general rule. I mean, some places have so many roads and motorized trails that elk don't have any choice. If they go here, there's a road. If they go here, there's a road. So, but in a lot of places where there's a travel management system on public lands, and I'm talking about highly pressured public land elk here. I'm not talking about private land elk that don't get much hunting pressure. I'm talking about the elk that we hunt. If they start hearing car doors slamming, motors humming, ATVs coming up the trail, they're gone. Even in archery season, the cows will prefer to go somewhere else. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be times where the feed is just so good in an area that has some roads that you're going to see some elk there. But all other things being equal, they're going. And that's a big part of what we do in our e-scouting, is trying to determine what the reaction elk will have to that hunting pressure that you're talking about. So, have I ever hunted Unit 54 in the Gunnison of Colorado? No, I haven't. Okay, this is gonna. I like this question, and Andrew Erickson says, Randy, I drew a Montana 380 bull tag, which is called the Elkhorns. It's the hardest elk tag in Montana to draw, with the exception of maybe the bear's paw. So, Andrew, you've got a really cool tag. And then you say, what are your tips for field judging big bulls? Well, there's two ways I look at it. One is, does it get my blood pressure going where I'm like, I want to shoot that thing? And I don't care if it's a 5-point, a 6-point, whatever. If I get that, that's good for here. I'm shooting. Now, I've had some what I call glory tags, and here's how I do it. If you're looking for really big record book type elk, okay? And this is very rare, but I'm going to bring it up because it gets asked a lot. I'm not into scores, but I do what Andrew's talking about. I try to practice of, all right, just relative how big is that elk? Because then I can also at that time kind of tell what its age is. And I'm more interested in the age of the elk than I am how much it scores. But let's go through this. So if you subscribe to the trophy book, or what they call it, the database, the trophy search database of Boone and Crockett, you can subscribe. I think it's $45 a year. I've been a subscriber to that forever. I'm a life associate and professional member of Boone and Crockett. So you go and you sort all their information, and here's what you're going to find. The average record bull elk has over a 50-inch main beam. So that's 50 on one side. And it has 30 inches of mass in the 4 mass measurements. All right, that's 80. Okay? You multiply that on the other side, that's 80 times 2 is 160. And then the average distance inside spread is about 40 inches. So right there on really big bulls, like you might be looking for in Unit 380, you've got, your starting point is 200 inches. Now you just go and add the length of the other 5 tines, assuming it's a 6 point. Add that to 200 and that should be your score. That's how I do it. Now, I know that's not perfect. I know that's not precise, but it's pretty darn close. I've done it a lot of times trying to figure out, does that work? Is that close? Yes, it's pretty close. What is the best way to call in a cow elk? I never had to step away. What's that? Oh, I have an archery cow tag in September in Arizona. Cow calls. I mean, a lost calf. You know, I'm lost. That's one that for me. I mean, you've seen some of our episodes where we've called in cow elk, and the way we do it is we're not calling for cows. Spikes and cows will come to cow calls. They're not going to come to bugles, but they'll come to cow calls. So the other way is find water, find where they're feeding. Arizona is having a really dry year. I'd probably hunt really close to water, and I might even set up on a water hole that is got elk coming into it. Really good chance there. So this is a good one. I had a podcast just released about 10 days ago with Tyr Simek. He's a former Green Beret special ops medic for 20 some years. And a lot of the places they get deployed, like Afghanistan, they're hunting at, or not hunting, I guess maybe they're hunting. They are deployed in elevations 12, 14,000 feet. Well, guess what? With that comes altitude sickness. So in that podcast, we talk about this in a little more detail. But the key point to not getting altitude sickness is acclimation. Give yourself a couple days to get acclimated to whatever that elevation is. I'm lucky. I live in Bozeman at 5,000 feet. I spend a lot of time 7,000, 8,000 feet. So if I go to Colorado to 10 or 11,000 feet, it doesn't hit me as bad as it does my brother who lives at 1,000 feet in Minnesota. And I'm accustomed to this lower density of oxygen, so my body can handle it. I can go and exert myself a little more than somebody who comes from sea level or 1,000 feet of elevation. So if you feel yourself starting to get sick, get to lower elevation. Get there fast, because it is not any fun. It's going to ruin your hunt, and you're not going to get any better staying up at high elevation thinking somehow you're going to tough it out. No, get to a lower elevation, get recovered, and then start working your way into it. I don't think that Jeffrey's gonna like the answer to this one. It's about grouse, but it is about elk hunting, because I hunt a lot of grouse in elk season. Hey Randy, how do you feel about grouse hunters who hunt elk territory, but they are not out there for elk themselves, i.e. shotgun shooting in elk country during archery season? I don't care. A shotgun doesn't make enough noise. You know what? If I could carry a shotgun and a bow, I'd carry the shotgun to make sure those grouse didn't get away, and it wouldn't scare off nothing for elk. So don't worry about it. Let's see. I'm not answering that one. Let's see. Hey Randy, I just received my Gerber knife today. Great feel to it, larger and sturdier feeling than I was expecting. I always like Gerber knives and can't wait to put this one to use. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is a stout knife. This is built for elk. So is this. This exchange blade system. You can get these out at gerbergear.com. Use promo code Randy and they'll give you 20% off. These blades, these knives are not made like your little disposable blade systems. I mean, I wish I had, I'm going to try to do this without hurting myself. Okay, do this with your Havalon. Okay, you'd see that blade go ping before I even put any pressure on it. When we built these, we said, this is elk. This isn't deer where you got to be real fragile and do this and do that. No, these are elk. Get after it. This requires a little leverage, a little force. See if I can do this without cutting myself. All right. Huh? Do that and see what happens. You can really lay the torque to these exchange blade knives. I've tried to break them. I haven't been able to, but okay. Some people are going to say, well, Randy, you're an accountant, man. You don't have enough muscle to break anything. All right? Go do that with your knife that is some sort of scalpel blade. And tell me how long it lasted. Because there's times when you're doing work on an elk, you just got to get after it. And both of these concepts are built on the same exact idea. Here you'll see this is the serrated blade. Here you see there's this tendon tool. And this is critical. And this comes from my background in trapping. So I've skinned so many critters trapping. Beaver, muskrat, otter, mink, coyote, fox, you name it. What trappers know is you want to keep your main cutting blade really, really sharp, because that allows you to do your fine work. So you use another blade to do the things that are going to mess up your blade. So with an elk, think about the things that really mess up your blade. This dorsal cut of leather back here, that leather is, you know, 1/4 inch thick. And then you get further down and it's not. Well, this right here is a problem. You want to get all of the hide off the burr around the antler, okay? Plan on dulling up your knife really good. That's what these things are for. You want to remove the head where the atlas joint is, right here, top vertebrae in the skull. You're breaking blades, you're dulling your knife. That's what this tendon tool and this serrated blade is for. You go to their hocks, whether it's the front or the back legs, and you've got tendons right up against bone. You got tendons inside bone. Well, you got to get in there and start working on those, and you can see our videos that we have out on our channel about that. And that's what these are built for. So I'm glad that Dave said, man, they're way sturdier than I thought. Yep, that's by design. This is not your downstream kind of knife where they say, oh, we designed this for deer hunters, make it work. Nope. We designed these for elk, and go do it. Let's see. What do I use for my Sitka gear base layer? I'm usually a merino guy. I have a merino zip tee as my top, and I often have merino boxers as my base, and if it's really cold, I'll put on a pair of either light or mid-weight merino base layers. Now, you'll get a whole bunch of people who say, I'm a synthetic guy. You know what? Sitka's got great synthetics, and in warmer temperatures, I will be wearing the synthetics. In super active conditions, sometimes I'll be wearing the synthetics. It's called core, a core hoodie, a core whatever. That's the stuff that is more of a synthetic, and it's really what you prefer. Sitka makes both, makes great stuff in either, whatever your application is that you want to use it for, or whatever you want to use for that application. So one person here says, I'm pretty sure carrying something so specific to the target game will jinx you. No. You if anything, this is going to give you more confidence and you're going to shoot more elk. So that's what I'm saying, right? Let's see. What's my total arrow weight for archery elk? About 500, depends on which one, 500 to 503 grains of everything. Let's see. Let me go back to some of the other questions that people sent in advance. Where are these? Can't believe it's August 26th already. Does a fire affect elk and their rut? Nope. If it did, look at a map of the West right now in elk country. There's fires everywhere. If that affected their rut, they'd never get around to rutting. So, nope, they don't. Let's see. When you're elk hunting in flat terrain, i.e. no mountains, does it change your tactics? Not much. There's less migration. Obviously, they're not going from high elevation to low elevation, but they might be going from mesas down into canyons. Sometimes they do that as a migration type event. And then if you think about the calendar period you're hunting, whether it's early, pre-rut, peak rut, post-rut, late season, the same principles still apply. So if we're talking sanctuary in a late season and it's flat, what creates a sanctuary? Maybe it's a boundary. Maybe it's a lake that no one can get across the lake. Maybe it's, just there are no roads. So the distance to get into that big flat area out there is 4 miles. A lot of people aren't going to go there. It could be unit boundaries, could be public-private boundaries. There's all kinds of things that create sanctuary. Well, maybe you're hunting peak rut. Well, peak rut in a flat area, I'm going to be hunting them just like I do in the mountains. They're going to be focused on cows. Where are the cows going to be? The cows are going to be where the best food is. So it doesn't change my tactics very much at all. All right, here's a good one. I talk about this every time I do a seminar. Will your strategy change from the opening day to the last day of your Colorado elk hunt? Yes, for rifle seasons. Now, if I'm archery hunting, not as much. But for rifle seasons, I have my first day strategy, and it's not just Colorado, it's any place. So if there's an opening day strategy, or opening day, I have a strategy for opening day. Because after the first shots, it's like the deck gets shuffled and the elk are heading somewhere else. Now, if I show up and the first day of my hunt, season's already been open a week, yeah, I still have a different strategy from the first day to the last day, just because I'm narrowing my options by eliminating places where I'm not seeing elk. So, but in this question, it's from opening day to last day. Huge differences. That opening day, I try to get there 1-2 days early and scout. And if I find a bull before season that I want to shoot, I'm almost camping on that bull. Not camping literally, but I'm going there and I'm hanging out in some place where I can watch him from 1,000 yards, a mile away. And I'm watching him all day, every day. And the night before season, I've already somehow figured out how do I mark a trail that I can get in there to where he's at in the dark. So I'm watching, I'm like, okay, that little patch of timber over there, that's where he's coming out every evening. That's probably where he's gonna go tomorrow morning. All right, I'm gonna go in the dark and I'm gonna be set up somewhere nearby where I can get a shot at that bull opening morning. Because I know once the shooting starts, everything changes. And then after that, after the first day, I go to, all right, what's option B, C, D, E, F? And I start working those through the remainder of the season. So, yeah, I'd give up. If you tell me I can have 5 days of hunting, but I don't get a day of scouting, or I can have 1 day of scouting and 4 days of hunting, I'm taking that 1 day of scouting and 4 days of hunting. It's just that much benefit to have that extra 1 day of scouting and try to get that buck or that bull in a situation where he's predictable before the hunting pressure has messed it up. So let's see. Midday tactics in hot weather for elk. Yep. Talk about this a lot, and this is where I will really focus on something that I usually don't. Water. I mean, I focus on water as a strategy, but as a tactic, I should sip more water, but I just mentally I can't. I hear an elk bugling up there, it's like I got to go check him out. Okay, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, all right, today I'm going to be disciplined like a good whitetail hunter, and I'm going to sit this water. My mind somewhere else, and I mess it up. So if there's one time where I've seen it happen enough that my rambunctious nature can be distilled for the benefit of sitting water, it's once the big bulls have their cow groups. Here's a normal daily event. Things happen where they are feeding down here, good food. The bull takes the cows and they go up to whatever the first set of ridges are that they're going to bed on. The big old bull is pushing those cows around. Well, on their way up, he stops and gets a drink. But it takes him a long time because he's trying to fight off satellite bulls. It's hot. He's exerting himself. He gets the cows up there. About 10 o'clock they bed. He's got to keep all these other bulls away. About noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, he's starting to really get thirsty again. He will come down solo to that water source and he will try to sneak back to his cows, silent and solo. A lot of really big bulls in the later part of the peak rut and later part of September are killed by guys sitting over water in the middle of the day. So to me, that's a really good midday tactic that's way better than going back to camp. Because in camp, the odds are very, very slim, that you're going to kill one. In fact, I'm trying to think if I ever killed one in camp. Nope. Can't say I ever have. A lot of questions about units. So yeah, I've not hunted a lot of these units that everybody's asking about. And if I had hunted them, I'm not going to tell you where to go. So someone's asking if I ever hunted Colorado zone 78, 79, 80, 81. No, I haven't. But if I had, I'm not going to say go up No Tellum Creek, park here, da da da. So I get that people want to know that, but it's really what we try to do is give you the tools and the knowledge that, and mostly the benefit of my errors, my screw ups, my mistakes, and we go with that information in a format or in a style that we hope is beneficial to you, so you can apply it to where you're hunting. Not, oh, go to this ridge, go to this place, go do that. It's think about, and it all starts back to our basics of what do the elk need at the time of year you have your tag. And I'm sure someday people are going to say, Randy, I'm so tired of hearing you say that. But that's where everything starts for us. E-scouting for elk starts with what season am I hunting? What are the needs in that season? Is it sanctuary? Is it food? Is it water? Is it breeding? Those are the 4 basic needs. One of them is going to be primary over everything else, and that's the need I'm going to focus on. And then I look at, all right, whether it's Unit 79, 80, 81 in Colorado, Unit 15 in New Mexico, Unit 380 in Montana, it doesn't matter. Whatever the primary need is, I got to go and find where on the landscape can elk satisfy that need when I have my tag, when I'm out in the woods. And that's going to tell me where to find them. And that's what I'm going to focus on in my e-scouting. Randy, insulated or uninsulated boot first rifle season in Colorado? Not even a question. Uninsulated. If you know how to keep your feet dry, it's all about moisture management. We're launching a video next week that goes into this exact same thing. I use uninsulated Canatrek mountain guides down to 0 degrees. People are like, how can you do that? Well, because I know how to keep my feet dry. So in Colorado, in the first rifle season, October 10th, you're not going to have temperatures below 20 degrees. So I'd go uninsulated. Tommy asks, any word on the GOHUNT mobile 3D maps? I have GOHUNT's mobile version loaded on here, and all of us have. Jonathan, did you get the beta test link? So, yeah, we're testing it right now, and they're working like crazy on it. And you know, you got Droid, iPhones, you got all these different platforms you got to test it on, and so it's coming. They're working on it. I mean, their engineers are working on it a lot, so it's their highest priority right now. Let's see. Some of these go by so fast, I can't. Oh, here's one. And this, Corey Jacobson and I did a big podcast on this, on the Elk Talk podcast just recently. How do I find the best food with satellite images? Well, first of all, you have to know what the best food is. And the best food changes during the time of year. So what they were feeding on in August is going to be different than what they feel is the best food in October. So again, you have to go and understand what the landscape looks like, what the elk are preferring at the time of year you're hunting them. Because to say what's the best food for elk, my very first question is going to be at what time of year? At what latitude? At what elevation? So you got to really get precise, because it's not the same all across the elk landscape. So how do you tell from satellite images? Well, you have to know what that best food is. And right now, there are layers on the GOHUNT desktop app that show you vegetations. Now, you can be way, way more precise. I go and study all these reports, all these cattle allotment analysis of, okay, what's the competition this allotment might have between domestic cattle and elk? Well, those range officers go into all this detail about what elk need at certain times of the year. I read all that. It tells me, okay, in October, here's elk preferred food source. All right, I know what that food source is. It's Gamble's oak. All right, where does Gamble's oak grow? All right, in New Mexico, it grows at a certain elevation band. All right, I go to GOHUNT, go to the 3D maps, click on that elevation band, and either highlight that or block out all the other bands. And I know that's probably where the Gamble's oak band is going to be. All right, it's a drought year. The Gamble's oak crop fails. They have a different food source at that time. All right, maybe it's late October and elk are looking for the little aspen shoots. All right, where are the newest generation of aspen forests? I don't want the old decaying climax aspen forest. I want the new stuff, because those little suckers that come out, elk love those. Maybe that's their food source. All right, well, that's pretty easy. Where was the last burn that has aspens coming up? So there's all kinds of things there. There's no one answer to it. And it just requires more knowledge, more research, more understanding of what elk need at the time you're hunting them. So, you guys are probably really tired of me saying all this stuff. Okay, someone asked a question, and it's a unit that we've hunted and filmed in. I'm not going to answer that question because I'll be ratting out some of my friends. Let's see. How deep does the snow have to be to move elk out of an area? It depends on drought year versus a wet year. Like this year is going to be a pretty dry year. It's not going to take as much snow to move elk in a drought year as it does in a really moist year, because you've had way better vegetation growth. So, people always like to say snow level. To some degree, snow level is not as important as these two things. One, cold temperatures. Cold temperatures will get elk moving to better feed way quicker than a foot of snow. But then if you get these patterns of, okay, we got an early snow in September and it was a really thick, deep, heavy, wet snow, and that doesn't get a chance to melt off and it turns to that crusted ice stuff, that once the cold weather starts making that impossible for elk to dig through, that will move them more than 20 inches of fresh powder. So there's no set amount of what's going to move them. It's the type of snow, how thick is it, how compacted, how frozen is it, and what are the temperatures. If you get 4 days of 0 degrees, you're going to see a lot of bull elk starting to move to better feed. Let's see. Is RMEF still giving away a Gerber knife with a 1-year membership? Not right now. That was a special promo we did for them last summer, but we're getting ready to do another promo with them. So Randy, at what elevation band do you recommend elk first rifle season Colorado? We covered that in great detail. In fact, we spent 20 minutes talking about that last hunt, or last Elk Talk Live. So go pull up that episode and we go into great detail. This one keeps getting asked. What Sitka pant would I recommend for a Utah elk hunt in September? The mountain pant. I usually use the next heavier level, the Timberline pant, but if we're talking Utah and it's September, I'm either using the Apex because it's early September, or if it's later September, I'd be using the mountain pant. Both are great, bomb proof. Let's see. Some people have joined late just because we've answered those questions earlier. Let's see if we have any more here. Best advice for bow hunting elk in Idaho a few days after opening weekend, after the pressure has hit and gone. Call and be aggressive. Move, move, move. Be mobile. The elk are moving across the landscape in greater activity levels than you'll ever have at any time of the year. You should be doing the same, because if you're doing that, your likelihood of encountering them is very good. This is your tool. Let them know you're there. Cow call, bugle, whatever. It's a time of year when they're sort of advertising their presence. They usually aren't doing that. So take advantage of it and be moving and calling, moving and calling. Let's see, where was that one? I just saw one come through here that, do I harvest the what? I don't know what that means. Did we announce the winner of our Instagram giveaway? Depends on which one you're talking about. If it's the Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls one, I think we're going to announce that on Friday, if I remember right. Will bull elk be in sanctuaries by the second week of rifle season in Montana? Yep, they will. After the first weekend in Montana, when the shooting starts, the bulls on public land are heading to their sanctuaries. I'd be curious to know what people think of this. In Idaho, where I'm going to be hunting, it's any elk, and I am out of meat. I ate the last little bit of moose meat last night, grilled it on my Traeger. If I find a chance at a cow elk, thump, it's happening. And I don't know what people will think of that. I wonder, I worry because there's this expectation that in the hunting world, the video world, we're supposed to just hunt and shoot big animals. Wow, that's not me. What Randy is about is the food aspect. So I'll end up in a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, where if I have a great shot on a cow and I pass it, people are going to be, oh, you're hunting for antlers. If I shoot a cow, some people are going to say, oh, you just felt like you had to kill something, so you shot a cow. No, I'm going to shoot that cow elk because I want to eat it, and it's convenient, and it's a good shot. So if you see me out this year and I shoot some cow elk and anyone wants to give me a hard time about it, man, it's going to be, you've mistaken me for someone who cares. And I would encourage anybody else to do the same thing. If you want an elk in your freezer, do it. Here's one. When you put your boots on for the first time, do you want them tight on your foot or fairly loose before lacing up? Mine are tight, trying to see if they will loosen up over time or if I need to get a wide boot. Neil, before you get too far down this path, I'd go and get your foot sized. Go to a really good shoe store, boot store, and they'll size it lengthwise and widthwise. And if you have a really wide foot, get a wide boot. Don't try this, I'll mess with the laces, I'll do this, I'll do that. The number one thing in the podcast that's going to release on Monday or Monday, is I have my buddy Bill Wilshire, who is a podiatrist, a foot doctor here in Bozeman, fanatic elk hunter. We go through all this stuff about foot issues. So listen to that, and I think when you listen to that, you're going to come away with the idea that, you know what, I think I'm going to go and get the right size boot. Then I don't have to tie it super tight. I don't have to tie it super loose. I don't have to add, okay, I got to wear an extra layer of socks or da-da-da. No, you want a boot that fits your foot. That's the number one reason for problems with boots, is the fit. So, let's see. Do I do the gutless field dressing method? And if so, do you go after the tenderloin? Oh yeah, there is no way I'm leaving that tenderloin out there. The only time sometimes I've left the tenderloin is sometimes you have a rifle shot that comes in at an angle and you know that it messed up, just this, it's like, ooh, that probably hit something. At times I might leave a tenderloin there if it's been hit and I know there's stomach juices and other bacteria that came out of the stomach. But what kind of socks do I use? I always use Kenetrek socks. They make all kinds of different levels of Kenetrek socks. Super, super high quality socks. A great wool synthetic blend. I love them. So someone says, I always wear 2 socks, no blisters. John, that's good that you get no blisters. I wear 1 pair and I'm a no blister guy. The number, I'd say after fit, one of the most common reasons that people end up with blisters is they don't get their feet in hunting shape. Okay? I leave my house and I go do a 3-hour hike with a 30-pound pack. The very first time I do that in the summer, if I don't have my feet in shape, my feet are going to kill me. So I'm not going to do that as my first hike. I'm going to get my feet in shape before elk season starts. I'm going to get those calluses. I'm going to figure out where those hot spots are. I'm going to get my boots back to, and my feet back to that good fit. If you just jump out of the truck, it's your first hike of the year, your feet are still soft because you're an accountant like me and you've been sitting behind a desk all summer, I can guarantee you with the best boots and the best socks in the world, you're still going to get blisters because your feet just aren't ready for it. What causes blisters is in the epidermis, the cells start to tear. And when they tear, you lose that little bit of water. That's why you see a blister, it's like a water bubble. Well, that's because those cells have torn and the water has broken from the cells and it creates that hot spot. You no longer have that cushion part there. Well, if you think that you're going to just jump in and get after it and start running up and down the mountains without getting your feet broke in, you're really going to pay for it. Kevin says, just hike all year round. That is the answer, if you can. I'm with Kevin on that one, man. I am hiking, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be elevation. If you have it, that's great. Maybe you just have a little creek in your, in your neighbor area where, okay, I only gain 80 feet of elevation. You know what? That can be enough. Maybe you side hill, zigzag, up, down, over logs, and you put 40 pounds on your pack, and you do that for a half hour. You'd be surprised how quickly after doing that for a month, your feet start getting broke in. And then when you hit the hills in elk season, you're going to be way, way better off. Let's see. Where was that other one? I missed it here. It went past. Have I ever hunted the Gila National Forest? Yep, lots of times. Not so much with my tags, but I've helped people who have tags. I've had a few tags there. Let's see. How many elk per year can you get in Montana as a resident and non-resident? I don't really know that. I know you can get 1 bull a year, and I think you might be able to get a B tag, which allows you to also get a cow. So I think it's 1 bull and 1 cow, but it's by unit. But you gotta, in most states, you really have to pay attention to the rules. A lot of people are accustomed, okay, I came here from Alabama, we've got, the whole state has the same regulation, just, da-da-da. Not in these western states. Every hunting district has its own set of regulations. So in this unit in Montana, you might be able to shoot any bull. The next unit over there, it might be only branch antlered bulls. The next unit over is over objective. They say you can shoot any elk, cows, spikes, whatever. You have to look at the regulations. So I would definitely just pay attention to that. Pay attention really, really closely. Do bulls bugle the first week of September in Colorado? Oh yeah, they do. So be checking that out. Be calling. I'm going to be calling. You going out elk hunting, Jonathan? Yeah. But you're going to be with me.
If I have time.
Oh, he says, if I have time. He's going to be so busy with me that he's not going to get much to do it. I can't find cow elk. What am I doing wrong? You're not looking where the feed is. Go and find out, research where the food is in the unit you're looking, and you will find the cow elk there. They will know where cow elk in general are very, very selective in a weird way. They are very adaptable. They can find all different kinds of food sources to make a living on, but they're smart and they're selective. They're gonna go find the best food source on the landscape. Hands down, you're gonna find them where that is. So let's see, we're gonna grab a couple more questions, but I wanna make sure that everybody knows how this gets to be free. It gets to be free because of Bowtech and GOHUNT, Loophole, Gerber, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, Kenetrek, Mystery Ranch backpacks, Black Gold, Tight Spot, Ripcord. That's why this is free. And if you want to save money, remember we say don't pay full retail. Go to gerbergear.com. Use promo code. These are all promo code Randy's. Save 20% at Gerber Gear. At GOHUNT, when you check out, you're going to save 10% when you check out at their online store. And if you sign up for the Insider that now has their 3D mapping system and soon to have mobile maps, use promo code Randy. They'll give you a $50 gift card for their store. Kenetrek boots, if you use promo code Randy, they're going to give you a $75 pair of gaiters free with every boot purchase. And Mystery Ranch, Black Gold, and Tight Spot, you can save 10% by buying it out at the store at GOHUNT.com. So, all right. What's the best question? You got a best question here, Jonathan? They've been going through so fast that I'm trying to figure out. Oh, here's one. This won't be the last one though. Josh asked, do I ever bugle at night to locate elk? Yep, I do. And Josh says, I've tried it several times, but I've had little luck. I've had some times when it's been like that, little luck, and then I've had some times where it's like, holy cow. And I think it's just because I've found where the elk are, or I'm not calling where they are. I'm in a spot where there aren't many of them. I like to find that and have those elk located before the sun comes up. Because if it's like, oh, there's an elk way over in that ridge, and there's one down here, and there's one just right up behind me, then I can start, I have options of, okay, until about 9:30, I know that the thermals are coming downwind, or downhill. I'm going after that guy. I'm not going to go the one down there. I'm going to go after him. If that doesn't work out, okay, then I'm probably going to go the one across here, because that's the time when the thermals are switching up, down, can't make up their mind. Okay, that'd be choice number 2. And then if I hear one down below me, all right, I'm going after him once the thermals have changed and are a steady uphill thermal. So that's why I like to call in the dark, is just gives you a whole lot of opportunities and in understanding of where your best chance exists at that time of the day based on what the thermals are doing. So let's see. Does the wife kill you with the price of elk tags? No. If you go listen to our podcast about marriage advice, I think it's podcast 98 or 99. We sorted that out a long time ago. How soon will we see fall 2020 hunting content on your YouTube channel? You'd have to ask that guy right there, Jonathan. He's in the process of editing our Nevada mule deer hunt that we had 10 days ago. How are you coming on that, Jonathan?
Almost done with the first episode.
Oh, he said he's almost done with the first episode. So he has about another 10 days to get the other 2 episodes done. So I think sometime September 8th, 10th, somewhere in there, probably have it ready to go maybe. And then after that, Marcus was over in Idaho archery mule deer hunting. He just got back, so we got that. We've already got 2 hunts in the can for this year. So, yeah. So let's see. So I'm going to address this. These kind of comments pop up, and I don't know why people feel compelled to say this, but someone says, Kenetrek boots are overpriced. Sorry. Well, if you spend 100 days a year doing what we do, and you're carrying heavy loads, you are going to wear the best boot you possibly can. And I get it that some people say, you know what, I'm not going to pay that much for a boot. That's fine. But people always ask, what do we use? So we tell people what we use. And I'll be the first to admit, the gear that we use, so Kenetrek boots, I was buying them at full retail before I ever started this operation. The same with Sitka gear, the same with Mystery Ranch packs, the same with, I bought my first Leupold scope when I was a teenager. So yes, this stuff costs money, but it's an investment. And if you do what we do, you want really good stuff. You want stuff that represents a great value. And value is where performance and price intersect. So when people ask us, what do you use? Well, if we don't answer the question, people keep hounding us. What do you use? What do you use? What do you use? And then when we tell them, then you get the people like, oh, well, that's too much money, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, I get it. But if people want to complain about the price of something, then don't ask us what we use. I don't know what to tell you. We're going to use really good stuff because we spend 100 days a year. Imagine if we spent 100 days a year walking through the terrain that we do, carrying heavy loads, sometimes just our day packs of 25 to 30 pounds, sometimes coming out with elk quarters in our back, and we had crappy boots. We wouldn't have a 100-day season. We would have about 2-week season because our feet would be destroyed. Or we use some sort of cheaper pack that did not perform, did not have all the load carriage engineering that a Mystery Ranch pack and other high quality packs have. Well, it's just what it is. So someone said, just wear camo Crocs, get it over with. So the person who said that responds and says, but most of us do not spend 100 days a year hunting. I get that, but I can't tell you how this product works because I don't use it. So if someone says, oh, I only hunt a week a year, I'm going to go buy this at Walmart. You know what? Great. I'm all in favor of you doing that. My point is, don't complain when people ask us what we use and we tell you what we use and it costs more money than you thought. With most things, you're going to get what you pay for. Someone here said, buy once, cry once. Someone now just said, you get what you pay for. I'm right there with you. So, how long before game meat expires in a freezer? If you take care of it properly, I just ate a piece of meat about a week ago that was from 2017, and it was great. So, and that's vacuum sealed. So, it's just like everything, when you take care of it properly, like even if you're using freezer paper, make sure you put at least one wrap of saran wrap or cling wrap around it to get rid of those air pockets, and it will last a long time. Now, if you just put it in wax paper and don't get all the air out, you're going to get freezer burn really, really quick. So it depends, but if I vacuum seal it, I'm going to be able to easily keep it for 3 years. All right, here's the last question of the day. I'm thinking that this should be it because it might apply to what I'm going to do this year. Randy, you always talk about cows being where the food is. Yep, you're right, Nick. That's what I always talk about. Do they also emphasize sanctuary in heavily pressured units? They emphasize less harassment. They're not going to go to the extremes of sanctuary that a bull elk will. So a lot of times sanctuary comes at a significant cost of food quality, and a bull elk will make that decision. A cow elk will not. She will say, you know what, I'll have less sanctuary for better food. A bull elk will say, I'll have better sanctuary and deal with lesser food. So cows, to the degree of elk, they both prefer less harassment, less human activity, but a cow elk is not going to go to the extremes to get away from it at the sacrifice of the food she needs for her fetus, for her own recovery, compared to what a bull elk will do. So I've just really got myself excited now about filling one of my tags with a cow elk. You on board with that, Jonathan? He gets to share in all the stuff when we shoot stuff and our freezers start getting full. We got a big freezer here in the office, and Jonathan and David and RJ, and they're like, yeah, man. So maybe the pressure's on me. I got to shoot a cow out, or, well, if a bull comes by, I'll shoot that too. But anyhow, folks, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Next week is going to be episode 100, and episode 100 might be the last one for a month or so, because I was looking at our calendar and there's a lot of Wednesdays we're going to be up in the hills here in Montana. And yeah, we might be just day hunting, but if we go hunt all day, I'm just too tuckered to come here and fall asleep in front of you on a Wednesday night. So appreciate the support of everybody. I hope that you go out and you hunt. I hope you find an excuse to get out there, take some family, take some friends. This is what we love to do. This is the time of year that we get all excited about. And I'm making a couple of commitments to myself this year where I'm taking some people who we've always said, let's do that some year. Let's do that some year. And we're going to do that this year. There's going to be some guests we're taking this year that are just people that are dear to me, and I want to make sure that we get some of those hunts in together. And I hope you'll do the same. I'm sure you have somebody in your family, somebody in your neighborhood, somewhere at your coworker, your old friend. Get them out hunting. Don't let excuses get in the way. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Get out there and do it. It's hunting season. Take care.